Yale News 8 special presentation.
Just 3 days ago, a gunman opens fire at a Texas church, killing 26. Las Vegas, site of the worst mass shooting ever in the U.S. Just weeks later, a man is charged with shooting 5 co-workers in Maryland. And in the Susquehanna Valley, a gunman opens fire, killing a gas station worker. A 26-year-old woman shot dead at her home in what police believe was a robbery. Another woman gunned down going to get groceries. All of it fueling the conversation, how to prevent gun violence.
Good evening, I'm Ron Martin. Last week we met with several community leaders to record a conversation on gun violence. And since that time, there's been yet another mass shooting. That's why what happened in Texas won't be a part of our conversation. But it brings home the point, the need to start a conversation on gun violence. Take a look at the numbers. In 2017, there have been 307 mass shootings this year. That's according to the group Gun Violence Archive. The group also found more than 13,000 people have died this year because of gun violence. Joining us tonight, a number of Susquehanna Valley leaders representing different parts of the community who will talk about this issue of gun violence. Let me introduce them to you now. First of all, Sue Walther, the Executive Director of the Mental Health Association in Pennsylvania.
Hi.
Harrisburg Police Chief Tom Carter is joining us tonight. Next to me also is Mr. Kim Stolfer, the chairman of the gun rights group Firearms Owners Against Crime. Dave Arnold, the Lebanon County District Attorney, is with us tonight, as is the Reverend Ron Tilley, organizer with Heeding God's Call in Harrisburg. Again, thank you all for joining us this evening. This is a very important topic, and it means a lot for us to be here and to share your thoughts with us on this. Now, we did invite a number of lawmakers on the federal level, Senators Bob Casey and Pat Toomey, and Congressman Lloyd Smucker and Scott Perry, as well as State Attorney General Josh Shapiro and the NRA to join us, but they all declined our invitation. Now, State Senator Scott Martin originally accepted our invitation, but he had to cancel at the last minute due to scheduling conflict. We want to begin now by asking all of you how we got here. Mr. Arnold, would you begin our conversation? How did we get here?
I certainly will. I think we got here because it feels like we've got an escalation of mass shootings that are taking place. There's sort of a feeling that violence is increasing, whether it's gun violence or otherwise. Guns aren't new to our society. We've had them, they've been around for a long time, but the increase in mass shootings is a little bit newer of a phenomenon, I think, and we need to figure out, why these are happening and how do we stop it from happening in the future.
Why is it happening? Anyone?
Mass shootings?
Yeah.
Mass shootings are happening for a variety of reasons. It's a very complicated issue. But it's important to point out that since 1968, our nation has pursued a course of ever-increasing amount of regulations on the private possession of firearms. Most people that I talk to, legislators as well as attorneys and even police officers, especially citizens, don't know the depth and breadth of the laws we have now and how many of them are violated in the course of most of these heinous crimes. And mass shootings are such a small subset of crime. They still are a small subset. We almost turn them into deities in the way we promote them. And we lose sight of the fact that every day, average ordinary citizens lose their lives to violent criminals with firearms. This isn't gun violence per se. It's they're using an implement erroneously, criminally, to harm people. And we don't hold these people accountable. And that's part of the component of how we got here.
Chief, what's going on in our inner cities? We really have a problem with gun violence among our youth, and it's been very difficult to get a handle of on this because it seems like every night on the news we're reporting shootings in one of our urban areas.
That's true, Ron, but you have to understand, that they manufacture guns like they do cars. They overflood our country with guns. We have this love for guns. The education is not there. The love for life isn't there anymore. These kids get hold of these guns either through burglaries or trading them drugs for guns, and they look at that gun, as their power. That's what makes them a man, and they don't hesitate to use that gun. You know, getting back to the mass shootings, there has always been mass shootings in this country, but now since, you know, we have the mass media, you know, they're talking about it more, you know, since, you know, it's terrorists, now we have domestic terrorists. I'm all for gun rights, those who lawfully own guns, you know, but however, you know, right now, you know, due to our last mass shooting, you know, you don't know. You don't know.
Sue, what's your biggest concern about gun violence?
That there is gun violence, I guess. But I'm here because I think there's a tendency, especially with the mass shootings, there's a tendency as soon as one happens, people jump to the conclusion, the public, the news, media maybe, jump to the conclusion the person must have had mental illness because we can't explain it. I mean, when someone, the gentleman in Las Vegas that killed as many people as he did, the people jumped immediately, well, he must have been mentally ill. And in fact, what they have found is that about the only thing they can find is he suffered from anxiety. Well, 40 million people in this country suffer from anxiety, so I don't think that's a predictor of violence. And so my concern is oftentimes people with mental illness are scapegoated, particularly with the mass shootings, because it's an easy explanation. And so I don't have the answer for why we have gun violence or even maybe how to stop it. I do know that only about 3 to 5% of our violent acts are done by people with serious mental illness.
Reverend Tilley, I want to turn to you now because clearly what is happening, no matter where it's happening, has effects on people and on communities and on a lot of lives. What are you seeing insofar as the effect of gun violence on our communities?
People are starting to get used to the reality that there's over 10,000 deaths a year in the U.S. from gun violence. And what's perplexing to me is that other countries can figure out a way to get their numbers to beneath 100 a year. Many countries are beneath 100 deaths a year from gun violence. And so I see many people are scared. Many people want to find new solutions to decrease gun violence, and they want to see the mass shootings decrease, but they also want to see the gun violence perpetrated mostly by illegal handguns on our streets decrease as well. And they're thinking there must be some common sense solutions that have been used elsewhere that have worked. You know, you look at countries like Australia, they used to have a mass shooting problem, and they did something about that. They started to make certain firearms that could easily be used to kill lots of people in a short amount of time. They made them less accessible. Instead, in our country, what we've done, after the Brady Law expired, and after the early 2000s, we let those types of guns flood our market, over 10 million of them. So we've actually rolled back some of those provisions that have allowed more lethal weapons to get on the streets.
So you see guns as the problem?
I see a lot of the problem being the amount of guns on the streets and the amount of guns that can get into the hands of people who should not have them. You know, most murders are committed with guns by people that are not allowed to have a gun. They're not committed by people who are licensed and permitted to have a gun. So I think we should have a right to be able to have a gun to protect ourselves, but I think we got to figure out ways to keep the guns out of the hands of people that are not allowed to have them and to decrease the amount of firearms that can quickly kill a lot of people before law enforcement can intervene.
Okay. Well, right now, at this point, to our audience, we want to invite you to join our conversation on the WGAL Facebook page. You can share your comments right now. And then, right after our discussion tonight, I'll be hosting a Facebook Live chat where you can share your ideas and opinions about some of the things you've heard here this evening. Now, coming up, we're going to be talking about how to prevent guns from getting into the wrong hands. I think we got a good start here.